Hi students, welcome to DS Economics channel. Today we are going to discuss 2012 Kerala SET Economics previous year question. This is your part number 3 or last part. In this part we are going to discuss question number 81 to 120 of 2012 Kerala SET. So those who come for the first time, please subscribe to this channel, and those do not watch the previous part videos, they can watch in the playlist. I have given the link of the playlist in the description box. So let's start today's video. Today's first question, question number 81. Industrial Reserve Army denotes a wing of government which inspect quality of product introduced in industries. The army reserved for the supply of industries, the reserve raw materials kept by farms, the unemployed population due to the growth of constant capital. Industrial Reserve Army. Reserve Army means the unemployed population due to the growth of constant capital. That is called as Reserve Army. Option D is the right. Reserve Army concept given by Karl Marx. A Marxian term referring to surplus labor created by the capitalist accumulation. It is a term referring to surplus labor created by the capitalist accumulation. So option D is the right answer. And question number 82. Pacinity model is an extension of Day's model of distribution. Calder model, Harrod, Joan Robinson or Solow model. Pacinity model is an extension of Calder model. Calder model, because Pacinity's model builds on Calder's two-class model, that is focusing on income distribution between workers and capitalists. Two class, workers and capitalists. So they focus on income distribution between workers and capitalists. Option A is the right answer. Then question number 83. If the capital output ratio is 4 and targeted growth rate is 5%, the required level of saving is 25, 15, 20 or 10. So we have to find out the value by a formula. So here we have to find out the level of saving. So saving rate is equal to capital output ratio into growth rate. So capital output ratio into growth rate. Here capital output ratio is denoted by V and growth rate denoted by G and saving rate denoted by S. So S is equal to V into G. So here capital output ratio value is 4 into growth rate value is 5%. So 4 into 5%, that is 20%. So saving rate will be 20%. So option C is the right answer here. Then question number 84. Tragedy of Commons was first described in his thesis by G. Devereux, D. Kenneth Arrow, S.H. Hahn or Garrett Hardin. So Tragedy of Commons given by Garrett Hardin, because in his 1968 article, Tragedy of Commons, he explained how common resources are overused and depleted. He explained in that article that how common resources are overused and depleted. Then question number 85. Day's method gives a minimum estimate of the benefits received from the Environment Protection Program. Delphi method, costless choice method, preventive expenditure method or none. Day's method gives a minimum estimate of the benefit, that is preventive expenditure method. Option C, because preventive expenditure method estimates how much is spent to prevent environmental damage. How much to spend to prevent environmental damage, that gives a lower bound estimate. So option C is the right answer. Then question number 86. Which of the following characteristic is widely regarded as being an important aspect of sustainable development? important aspect of sustainable development. Intergenerational equity, increasing consumer expenditure, increased level of saving or not. It is intergenerational equity, because sustainable development ensure resources are preserved for future generation. So it is related with intergenerational equity. There are total 17 goals. Target year is 2030. Then next question, question number 87. DES is a tax levied on a non-market activity that generates negative externalities which is intended to correct the market outcomes. Specific tax, ad valorem tax, carbon tax or Pigovian tax. DES tax. It is called as Pigovian tax. Pigovian tax is a tax levied on a non-market activity that generate negative externality which is intended to correct the market outcome. Negative externality tax, it is called as Pigovian tax, because Pigovian tax is meant to internalize the external cost to internalize the external cost like pollution. Then question number 88. DES is a measure of income inequality which is equal to the portion of the total community income that would have to be redistributed for there to be perfect equality. Which index? Herfindahl index, Hoover index, Solow index or Pareto index? It is called as Hoover index. Hoover index. Hoover index is a measure of income inequality which is equal to the portion of the total community income that would have to be redistributed for there to be perfect equality, or also called as Robin Hood index. Hoover index, or it is also called as Robin Hood index. It shows what percentage of income must be redistributed for equality. For equality, what percentage of income must be redistributed? Option B is the right answer. Then question number 89. DES curve shows how much of its import commodity is required by a nation in exchange for various quantities of export commodity. Offer curve, indifference curve, demand curve or production possibility curve. It is called as offer curve. Offer curve shows how much of its import commodity is required by a nation in exchange for various quantities of its export commodity, because in international trade it shows, offer curve shows how much a country willing to trade at different terms. It is called as offer curve. Then question number 90. A graph showing all the combinations of goods and services that can be produced if all of society's resources are used efficiently is capital consumption curve, circular flow diagram, production possibility curve or Lorentz curve. It is called as PPC, production possibility curve. Production possibility curve. It is a graph showing all the combinations of goods and services that can be produced if all the society's resources are used efficiently, because production possibility curve shows maximum possible output combination given resources. Then question number 91. The Leontief paradox presented by Wellesley Leontief in 1951 found that USA exported DES commodities and imported DES commodities in apparent contradiction with Hexer-Ohlin theory. Labor intensive commodity and capital intensive commodity. The Leontief paradox is that found that USA exported labor intensive commodity. Yes, this is the just opposite of Hexer-Ohlin theory. USA export labor intensive commodity and import capital intensive commodity. That is the it is contrary to Hexer-Ohlin theory. Hexer-Ohlin theory predicted the opposite for the capital abundant country like the USA. So this is the opposite concept. A is the right answer. Then question number 92. A hot money or refugee capital is DES. One which is transmitted from one center to another for greater safety, or earned by refugees, or deposited by refugees before taking refugee. Hot money or refugee capital is one which is transferred from one center to another for greater safety, that is called as hot money, because hot money refers to short term capital swiftly moved across borders to avoid risks or gain higher returns, especially during instability. Option A is the right answer. Then come to question number 93. Match the following: adjustable peg system, crawling peg system, the wider band. I am a fixed exchange rate system in which the exchange rate can be varied if there is fundamental equilibrium. It is related with adjusted peg system. Yes, it is related with adjusted peg system. Then changing the exchange rate little by little continuously to check speculation. It is crawling peg system. Then flexible movement within a definite range, that is wider band. So all are related directly. A1, B2, C3. A1, B2, C3 given in the option number A. Because adjustable peg system, it is a IMF system where exchange rate changes in case of fundamental disequilibrium. Then crawling peg system related with small frequent exchange of exchange rate changes. Then wider band, it is related to more flexible range of exchange rate movement. So A, B, C. Then question number 94. If depreciation is to improve the country's balance of payment, the Marshall-Lerner condition requires that the sum of elasticities of demand for import and demand for export should be smaller than unity, greater than unity, equal to unity, or equal to 0. It is greater than unity, because the sum of the price elasticities of export and import must be exceed 1 for depreciation to import the trade balance. According to Marshall-Lerner condition, the sum of price elasticities of export price plus import price greater than 1. So right option is B. Then question number 95. Which of the following items is within the total of balance of payment? The merchandise balance, the basic balance, the current account balance, all of these. So within the total balance of payment, merchandise balance, yes, basic balance, then current account balance, all of this. So option D is the right answer, all of this, because all option merchandise, basic balance, current account balance, all are the components of balance of payment. So here option D is the right answer. Then question number 96. The OLI paradigm means ownership advantage, locational consideration, and international gains as an explanation for FDI has been put forward by. This concept was given by Immanuel Dunning, Kindleberger, or Heimer. This concept was given by Dunning, option B, because John Dunning explained FDI using the OLI model, that is combining farm advantage, country specific factor, and control. So option B is the right answer. Then question number 97. Under fixed exchange rate system, an expansionary monetary policy always leads to dash in balance of payment, deterioration in balance of payment, yes. Then while a contractionary monetary policy always leads to improvement in balance of payment, deterioration and improvement, option A. Because expansionary policy means higher imports, and when higher imports, balance of payment worsen. Then contractionary policy means lower import. When import lower, then balance of payment improves. So deterioration and improvement are the right answer, option A. Then question number 98. The essence of dash is that the importing country negotiate with its foreign suppliers on the quantitative restrictions on the amount of exports they will supply to the domestic market. It is called as voluntary export restraint, import tariff or export tariff. It is called as voluntary export restraint or VER model. VER model. The essence of voluntary export restraint is that the importing country negotiate with its foreign suppliers on the quantitative restrictions on the amount of export they will supply to the domestic market. Here VER is a trade restriction on quantity negotiated voluntarily to avoid strictly import control. So option A is the right answer. Then come to question number 99. The neo-Chamberlain lineal model of intra-industry trade differed from neo-Hexarolian model in that the goods in question are vertically differentiated, identical, or horizontally differentiated. It is horizontally differentiated, horizontally, not vertically, horizontally differentiated, because neo-Chamberlain model assumes similar goods with different varieties or horizontal differentiation, unlike Hexarolian model which assumes homogeneous goods. So option C is the right answer. Then question number 100. The Revizsky theorem states that if the endowments of one of the factors of production increases, the endowment of the other being constant, the output of the good using the accumulating factor intensively will increase or decrease. It will increase and the output of the other good will decrease in the absolute terms, provided that commodity and factors price are keep constant. Option A is the right answer, because the output of the good that uses the increased factor intensively rises while the other goods output falls, assuming constant prices. That is called as Revizsky theorem. Option A is the right answer. Then question number 101. The offer curve of a nation bulges or bends towards the axis which measure its import commodity, export or import commodity or not traded commodity. The offer curve of a nation bulges or bends toward the axis which measure its imports commodity. The offer curve bends towards the import axis, showing the country's willingness to import more in exchange for its exports. It is import commodity. Then question number 102. Increasing opportunity cost to produce more and more units of a commodity are given by the production possibility curve. This is called as convex to origin, concave to origin, or straight line. This is concave to origin. Because a concave PPC indicate rising marginal opportunity cost, concave. So concave to origin. Then question number 103. The Stopler-Samuelson theorem postulates that imposition of a tariff by a nation causes the real income of the nation's scare factor to fall, abandon factor to rise, scare and abandon factor to rise, or scare factor to rise. It is related to abandon factor to rise. Because a tariff raises the return of the abandon factor and lowers that of the scare factor. So option B is the right answer. Then question number 104. Factor intensity reversal. Factor intensity reversal refers to a situation where the same commodity is more labor intensive in one nation than in the other, or one commodity is the labor intensive commodity in one nation and the capital intensive commodity in the other nation. Yes, this is the situation of factor intensity reversal, because factor intensity reversal occurs when relative factor uses changes across countries. Option B is the right answer. Then question number 105. The part of public finance which deals with the study of methods and causes of public borrowings, that is called as public expenditure, public debt, or public revenue. It is related with public debt because it causes of public borrowing, public debt This area focus on how and why government borrow and its effect. This is public effect, public debt. Then next question, question number 106. Debt is established by a government agency or business for the purpose of reducing debt by repaying or purchasing outstanding loans and securities held against the entity. Capital levy, surplus revenue, sinking fund, or annuities. It is related with sinking fund. Sinking fund. Sinking fund is established by a government agency or business for the purpose of reducing debt by repaying or purchasing outstanding loans and securities held against the entity. Because sinking fund is usually gradually repay or retire debt over time. Then next question, question number 107. The demand for a commodity is perfectly elastic and supply is inelastic. Here demand is perfectly elastic demand and supply is inelastic. Here supply is inelastic. Then the burden of taxation will be fully on buyer, is equally shared by the buyer and seller, fully on seller, or more burden on seller and less on buyer. What happened? This is a technical question. When the demand for a commodity is perfectly elastic, when the demand is perfectly elastic, consumers will not tolerate any price increase. Here consumer will not tolerate any price increase. If price increase, then its demand decreases suddenly. So hence sellers bear the full tax burden. Here the seller bear the full tax burden. Option C. Because here demand is perfectly elastic, so here consumers will not tolerate any price increase, so seller bear the full tax burden. Option C is the right answer. Then question number 108. According to Arthur Laffer, when tax rate of tax is 100%, the tax revenue will be according to Laffer curve. This is the Laffer inverted U. Here tax rate and tax revenue. Tax rate and tax revenue. When tax rate is 0, tax revenue is also 0, and when tax rate is 100%, tax revenue 0. Because Laffer curve shows that 0% and 100% tax revenue is 0, because no one will produce at 100% taxation. So either 0% or 100%. When tax rate is 0%, there is no revenue, and when tax rate is 100%, there is no revenue, because no one will produce here. So it is answer is option number A. Then question number 109. VAT means value added tax is imposed directly on consumer? No. On final stage of production or first stage of production? On all stages between production and final sale? Yes. Value added. Here full form is value added. So value added means on all stages between production and final sale, the value is added. So VAT is a multi-stage tax. It is levied on the value added at each stage of the production and distribution chain. So option D is the right answer. Then question number 110. Which of the following has made recommendations in respect to center-state financial relation in India? Sarkaria Commission, Kelkar, Rekhi or Chelier Commission? It is Sarkaria Commission. Sarkaria Commission, which was formed in 1983, focus on center-state relation including financial devolution. So option A is the right answer. Then question number 111. In 2010, the government of India earned maximum revenue from excise duty. Option A. Then question number 112. Which of the following taxes are levied by the union and collected and appropriated by the state? stamp duty, passenger and goods tax, or estate duties, or taxation or newspaper. It is stamp duties. Stamp duties on certain financial instrument are levied by the center but collected by state. Levied by center and collected by state. Stamp duty. Then question number 113. The issue authority of 1 rupee currency note is 1 rupee currency note is RBI note. RBI print greater than 1 rupee means only the Ministry of Finance. Only the Ministry of Finance produce, or like other currency notes issued by RBI, but 1 rupee note is issued by the Government of India and signed by the Finance Secretary. So Ministry of Finance issue 1 rupee note. Then question number 114. The profit from sale of a house property which is earned by an owner is taxed by the government. This form of tax is known as sale tax, capital gains tax, wealth tax, or not. This is called as capital gains tax. Capital gain tax, because capital gains tax applies to profit from the sale of capital asset such as house property. So it is capital gain tax. Then question number 115. Pump priming means increase in government expenditure in terms of recession to boost economic activity. Yes, this is the right answer. Pump priming is a Keynesian fiscal policy tool to stimulate demand during economic slowdowns. Then next question number 116. The term vote with their feet was put forward by Tulloch, Charles Tibot, John Stuart Mill, or Robert Allen. This concept was given by Charles Tibot. Option B, because Charles Tibot in his 1956 model suggested that people vote with their feet by moving to communities they best satisfied their preferences for public goods and taxation. Option B is the right answer. Then question number 117. As per capital income in an economy rises, the relative size of the public sector will also grow, was stated by Adolf Wagner, Weizmann, Rostow, or Herbert Simon. This concept given by Adolf Wagner hypothesis. Option A. It is known as Wagner's law. It states that public expenditure increases with economic growth and rise per capita income. Then question number 118. In cost benefit analysis, the method which solves for the rate of interest which will make the present value of the net benefit of the project zero is working capital method, internal rate of return method, capital turnover criterion, or none of this. This is called as internal rate of return. Internal rate of return, because internal rate of return is the discount rate at which the net present value is equal to 0. Here NPV, net present value, is equal to 0. It is widely used in the investment appraisal and project evaluation. Then question number 119. Dash effect arises from the voter's keener awareness of social problems during the period of upheaval. Displacement effect, concentration effect, or inspection effect. It is displacement effect. Displacement effect arises from the voter's keener awareness of social problems during the period of upheaval. Here these concepts are introduced by Peacock-Weizmann hypothesis: inspection, concentration, inspection, displacement. And the displacement effect suggests that public expenditure increases after periods of crisis or upheaval. So option A is the right answer. Then today's last question number 120. With a regressive tax, as income increases, the tax rate remain the same. income decreases, the tax rate decrease, income increase, tax rate increase, or income increase, tax rate decrease. That is regressive tax, means opposite relation. When income increases, the tax rate decreases. When income increase, tax rate decrease. This type of figure. Here when income increases, tax rate decreases. When income increase, tax rate decrease. That is called as regressive tax. One is progressive tax, progressive. This is regressive, progressive, regressive, and this type of situation is proportional, and another one is progressive and proportional. That is called as first progressive, then proportional. So these are the different types of tax. One is regressive, another one is progressive or proportional or progressive and proportional. So here right option is option number D, because in a regressive tax system, higher income individuals pay a lower portion of their income in taxes compared to the lower income individual. So option D is the right answer. So this is all about for the today's session. I hope you gain some knowledge from all the three parts of the videos of 2012 Kerala set, and those who come for the first time, please subscribe to this channel, and those who do not watch the previous part videos, they can watch in the playlist. I have given the link of the playlist in the description box. So in the next part we will see. Thank you so much for watching. Jai Jagannath.